between them. That's all. But anyway, I'm sure at some point they actually did mean 60 seconds and 30 seconds before race starts. Well, in this case, green flag lap starts. They head out for another lap of the circuit, back in those original grid positions, as I've said. And the only one we should be missing now that we had initially should be Connor Clifford. I think everyone else is there, including Adam Craig, who was dug out of gravel. Pete Smith was the one that tangled with Connor Clifford. He's still going. I don't think Pete ever made contact with the wall. He was heading for it, but I don't believe he ever actually made contact with it. So his car should be more or less okay. Thomas Walker there, the Tucker Motorsport car, one that we definitely need to keep an eye out for, the 21 machine, the all-black car, second to last on the grid. So see what progress he can make from there. Ali Bray bunches the field up through clearways, makes his way to the start-finish line, and well, he will have learnt, he will hope, from what happened on that initial start to the race, where things didn't quite go to plan. What's he going to do differently this time? Very little he can do probably in the start procedure, although he can try and limit wheel spin and not bog down the revs at all, get through the gears as cleanly as possible. But that's the main thing I thought he would do. He's angled the car down the hill towards the pit wall, which just gets rid of a little bit of that yaw, a little bit of that sideways action that can happen when you launch the car from pole position here on a standing start. The front of the car naturally wants to go down the hill, and so he's positioning the car that way, so that again, gravity's on his side, whereas Neil Chisnell behind is not. He's always pointing the other way. So Ali Bray has that little change in the position of the car. Is that going to work for him and allow him to keep the lead into the first corner? You really do feel like the battle for turn one is going to be super, super important here. Don't think it's going to be easy for some of those behind to overtake the cars ahead. Let's see, though. The back of the grid is almost in position, waiting for the red lights to go off, which happens now. And was that a little bit of creeping from Foden, maybe? Adam Sparrow's gone nowhere. He's plunging down the order, but definitely a better start from Ray. Look at Bartlett, though. Bartlett from 6th on the grid is 3 abreast for the race lead. He's on the outside line as well. That should be where the grip is. Bray gets into the corner first, but Steve Bartlett gets the switchback. He's up the inside as they head up Halewood Hill, and Steve Bartlett with a dream start from the 3rd row of the grid. Steve Bartlett leads at Druid. That is incredible. Bartlett ahead of Ali Bray then. Foden slots into 3rd. Is that Michael Green, I think, round the outside? It is. Michael Green into 4th position ahead of Neil Chisnell. They've all got safely through the first couple of corners this time around, and they head down the Cooper Straight into the sunlight. The sun's starting to shine once again on the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, and it's very much shining on Steve Bartlett. Fortune shining on him, but well, you make your own look, I suppose, don't you? That was just a really good start. Oh, bit of wheel banging and a car off towards the barriers. That was the 64 car. And that car, I fear, made contact with the Armco. That's Donovan Dyer. Ali Bray, meanwhile, very wide, going through clearways. And someone else is even wider. That's Michael Green. What a shame. Michael Green, who'd had a really good start. He will get his way out of the gravel, I think. But basically at the back of the field. But yeah, Ali Bray not looking particularly comfortable in these conditions. So Bartlett leads, Foden second, but 1.5 seconds between them. And then Neil Chisnell goes to 3rd. So Ali Bray, this is, I think, the first time he's been out of the podium places all weekend long, and I would argue probably all season long. He's trying to do something about that, though. Goes to the outside of Chisnell into Druids, but then that leaves the door open for Adam Sparrow. Now, Adam, I don't think was best pleased with Ali after the race earlier on today, so he would love to get his own back. Oh, Ollie Walden. Huge slide out of Druids. Really good catch, that. Loses a couple of places, but that car very nearly ended up in the tyre barriers. In fact, he's now finding himself on the outside of a 3-wide situation. Harry Storer and Richard Wootton, the 2 cars to his inside, as they head for Surtees, where the Donovan Dyer car has got going again, thankfully. So if it did hit the barriers, it didn't do too much damage. Oh, Sparrow! Adam Sparrow's off. Adam Sparrow off from 5th position. So he didn't get past Ali Bray, and might not have another chance now to challenge Ali before this race is done, because he's lost a lot of ground with that off. And Adam Sparrow, who didn't have the best of luck here in the wet at the end of last year. It was conditions not dissimilar to these, in which Tom Langford pipped him to the championship when Adam went off at Paddock Hill Bend. It was a brake issue, I was told, that sent him off in that final race of the season, but regardless of that, he will not want a repeat of that result. Here comes Bray to the inside of Neil Chisnell. Now that inside at Druids becomes the outside at Graham Hill Bend. It doesn't matter though, he's powered past. Much better traction off the corner from Ali Bray. So I was saying that he didn't look all that comfortable in these conditions. Maybe now he's felt them out for a couple of laps. He's starting to warm to the challenge because he's already getting away from Chisnell, closing in on Foden. But Foden was about 0.8 of a second slower than Steve Bartlett on the previous lap. Bartlett's gone. Steve Bartlett has checked out into the distance. Bray to the inside of Foden made that look very easy on what shouldn't really be the grippy line through clearways. You would expect the outside line to prevail there, but Steve Foden, nothing he could do to keep Bray behind. There are quite a few wayward lines being taken by drivers further back, but they are all still there. Foden trying to come back at Ali Bray, but no, Ali holds on to the position and sets, tellingly, the fastest lap of the race, even with an overtake. So Ali Bray, a 1:04.7, that was half a second quicker than the race leader. He is 2.7 seconds back, so it's going to take a while for him to get there, but he does apparently have the pace to chase after the race-leading driver. There goes Harry Storer, up a position ahead of ahead of Adam Craig, actually. That's that Storer into the top 5. Now, Harry said to me in the paddock earlier on, he was doing a rain dance. He really was hoping it would be wet for this third race. He's got his wish, and he's delivering upon that promise of potentially some good pace as well, because he's into the top 5, the best we've seen from Storer so far this weekend. Adam Sparrow in the background got past Ollie Walden there, who had a wobble coming out of Graham Hill Bend. So Sparrow back into 8th position, and now sets off after the two teammates ahead, Adam Craig and Tim Wotton. Tim Wotton. Who on earth is Tim Wotton? Richard Wotton in the number 3 car, who is behind his teammate Adam Craig. Adam Sparrow is coming up behind the pair of them, but has nowhere to go really, because Wotton is busy having a go at Adam Craig. Up the inside he goes, into paddock. Is he going to make that move stick? Adam will have more grip on the outside line, and up the middle of both of them, I think, will go Adam Sparrow. This is a fired-up Adam Sparrow. He's just desperate to move forward in this race, and he will gain 1 place out of that. Gets past Adam Craig. He's not going to get Richard Wotton, I don't think. Oh, well, he might do on the exit, though, because Wotton gets a wheel on the curb, which is like ice in these conditions. Has a bit of a slide, but keeps Sparrow at bay for now. Off has gone the 5.77. That's Chris Thelwell. That looks to me like Clearway, well, Clark Curve that he's gone off. And the safety car is scrambled. Disaster for Steve Bartlett, because he was enjoying a 2.2 second lead over Ali Bray. That will now evaporate. Yes, Bray was gaining on him slightly, but at least Steve Bartlett would have had a few laps before Ali caught him. Now, though, that gap disappears entirely. So Bray is going to have a good chance here to plot an attack on Steve Bartlett. Steve Foden as well, of course, who had dropped back a fair distance from Ali, will have another go at this. But the safety car brought out onto the track and will pick up eventually Steve Bartlett. Now again, I'm prepared to be corrected if I'm wrong here, but I'm fairly certain Steve Bartlett's never won a race in this championship. What a turn up for the books that would be if he were to be the man who pipped Ali Bray and broke the Ali Bray run of victories. Chris Thelwell there pointing fairly animatedly at the car, or perhaps asking where he needs to go. I think he's wondering whether he can run across the track maybe to get back to the pit lane, but the marshals will be a little bit cautious to advise that he does that. Safety car then runs through clearways. Of course, the time keeps ticking down behind the safety car in this shortened 18-minute race. And Bartlett leads the field past the Chris Thelwell car. Shame that for Chris. I seem to remember Richard John Neal wanting to find Chris for an interview earlier in the day. Well, he won't have an opportunity to do so after this race. Might have a chance to do so during the safety car period if Chris has made it back to the pit lane, but I don't think he has. I think he's still on the outside of the track, just assisting with the recovery of his car. So Steve Bartlett then will have to wait at least another lap to get this race underway. Now, he probably won't mind the safety car being out right now. Steve will be pretty happy that he's not having to battle against Ali Bray just yet. There in the insert is the recovery going on down at Clark Curve. Look at the gravel on the road on the exit of Paddock Hill Bend. Look how much drier the circuit looks though. It's still damp, but it's certainly not wet. And that breeze that's still blowing across the track will be helping the drying process. The sun's starting to peek through the clouds again. So it won't be long before as I said, there's a dry line starting to appear. It's not there yet, but it won't be long. By the end of this race, I reckon, we might be looking at that. Thelwell's car's been dragged across into the pit lane. Maybe that's what he was gesticulating to the marshals. So Chris Thelwell will be in the pit lane. Have they done that in time for a restart this time? Yes, they have. The lights are out, so we're going to go racing again this time around. A bit of a late call, which might have caught Steve Bartlett out. He can't accelerate yet because he can't pass the safety car before it gets into the pit lane. Now he can go, but Ali Bray has gone right with him. So the top two are latched together as they head out of Clark Curve, across the timing line and towards Paddock Hill Bend. There are 9 minutes and 20 seconds of the race still to go, and Ali Bray wants another hat-trick of victories. Steve Bartlett is the man standing in his way right now, but the pace that Bray had before that safety car would suggest that he's got what it takes to go for the race lead. He takes the wide line through Paddock, cuts to the inside into Druids. Interestingly, Bartlett doesn't bother defending because he wants the outside line. That's where the grip should be, but it's not going to matter. Bray has got the move made already and found some grip on the inside line. Bartlett drops to second, just like that, as has been the case really in the other two races. Ali Bray picks his way back into the lead. Every time he loses ground, he seems able to get it back. Come rain or shine, Ali Bray has been the man to beat this weekend. Bartlett, Foden, Chisnell going with these two in fairness. Then a big gap back to Harry Storer, who had his hands full trying to keep Richard Wotton and several other drivers behind him. Leaders tiptoe their way through clearways right out to the outer edge of the track. That wet line, which is definitely quicker, but it's oh so treacherous. You're just a couple of inches away from the white line on the outside edge of the track. And it's very easy indeed to dip a wheel into that gravel trap. There is hardly any spray coming up from behind the cars as they head down the main straight, so that part of the track is drying out quite nicely. There's a little bit more at Paddock Hill Bend, but not a huge amount as they climb up the hill into the braking zone at Druids Corner. James Seal, by the way, I said he might not be out there. On track, he has got out there, but he's back in the pit lane now. The oohing and ahhing there was thanks to Ollie Walden's big slide at Paddock. He's behind Harry Storer, who's been overtaken by a few people, actually. Adam Sparrow and Richard Wotton have both gone through. In fact, Sparrow gaining 2 places on that lap. Now, don't count Adam Sparrow out of this yet. He's into fifth position. He's 3.5 seconds or so behind the leading group. But Sparrow is quick in the wet, very quick in the wet, actually. One of his breakout results at Silverstone a year or two ago, I seem to recall, on the Grand Prix circuit, came in conditions much like these. 2 years ago, I think that was, when he got maybe his first podium in the category. Damp, greasy, changeable conditions. He seems to quite enjoy them. So Adam Sparrow should have good speed now that he's into clean air. We'll keep an eye on the pace of that silver and orange number 19 car. He crosses the line, gapping already Richard Wotton. Oh, off has gone 68. Paul Tucker up at Clearways Corner. Sparrow a 106.0, slower than the leading 4 that time. But the leading 4 are still very much a leading 4, aren't they? Steve Bartlett is not letting Ali Bray get away here. And Foden and Chisnell keeping a watching brief behind. Storer now to the inside of Richard Wotton, trying to get one of these places back, but he lost a few laps ago. Wide line for Wotton. Stands his ground, gets the inside line into Graham Hill Bend, but Storer, I think, is going to have the edge through Graham Hill Bend. Is that the rain returning? I think I can see, yes, it's definitely raining again, isn't it? Just as it looked like the conditions were starting to come back to us. And the rain very much returns. Not with a vengeance yet, but it is raining. And going to continue, I think, to get more and more slippery out there. Harry Storer, though, dealing with the conditions well, makes that move stick, brings Ollie Walden with him. Here are the leaders. Steve Bartlett back on the tail of Bray as it gets wetter. Bartlett seems to grow in confidence, doesn't he? But where can he make a move? Through Paddock Hill Bend, that's not really going to be an option. The outside line is so much quicker. This is why it's difficult to overtake in the wet at Brands Hatch. It was tough enough to find a way past Ali Bray this morning in the dry. Now in the wet, it's going to be almost impossible. But Steve Bartlett, with the possibility of what I believe would be his debut victory in the championship, might just be willing to go for this. Take a couple of risks, really try and make something happen. And as Ali Bray is the leader, he's the first one to discover just how heavy the rain might be. They're heading towards the part of the circuit from which the weather's been coming all day. And this is where maybe the leader might just be the one to have a moment, or maybe take it a bit easier than the chasing car. Bartlett can gauge how hard he can drive on the behaviour of Ali Bray's car, while Bray's car was on a much tighter line there through clearways than Bartlett. But they come off the corner pretty much exactly where they were going in, so it's no real gain to be had there for either of them at the moment. Across the line they head again. We've got just under 5 minutes to go, so there's still time. Bartlett doesn't need to panic here. He's under no pressure, really, from Steve Foden. Foden can't quite live with their pace in these conditions, I don't think. Nor can Neil Chisnell. Sparrow, by the way, 105.3, so he's sort of matching Foden and Chisnell. He's not gaining on them at the moment, though. Bartlett's having a go here. He's had a good run through Druids. Tries to pull up alongside Bray into Graham Hill Bend, but Ali's not going to have it. 67's off the road. Oh, I think they're going to get going. That's Clive Chisnell. So the other Chisnell in strife, but gets back underway, thankfully, so no need for a safety car. That's how easy it is to get it wrong up there, though, because you're so close to the edge of the track. If you do get it wrong, you will go into the gravel. There's no two ways about it. You're not going to avoid the gravel trap when you're running inches away from it to start with. Look at the difference in lines, though. Bray taking that tight line in, which gains him quite a bit of time on the way into the corner. Bartlett, though, can get on the power a bit earlier. That time around, Bray seems to have gained a length or so. So maybe Bartlett needs to try and do what Ali Bray is doing. He's got 4 minutes left to try and suss this out, but this is the biggest the gap's been for a while. 4/10 quicker that time was Ali than Steve. It's actually a dry-ish line now starting to appear at Paddock Hill Bend, despite that fresh little sprinkle of rain a lap or so ago. Wipers are on for the leading two cars. Interestingly, not for the two cars chasing them down in third and fourth. There's Sparrow fifth, sixth is Storer, seventh is Wootton, eighth Adam Craig, ninth Ollie Walden, and Andrei Baluev in 10th position in what I think is Tom Langford's old car, the championship winning car from last year, doing another really good job. Andrei was ninth in the race earlier on today. He's running 10th again, and the leading Masters driver for the second race in a row. Ollie Walden with a little look to the outside of Adam Craig. Oh, has a real swipe at him coming off the corner, not intentionally, just trying to carry the speed off the turn. Another one of the Rob Boston Racing prepared cars is Ollie's, tucked in behind Adam Craig, the BFB Racing car. There's the battle for third. Steve Foden's podium place might not be all that secure. Neil Chisnell not far behind him at all now, as Ali Bray sets the fastest lap of the race at 104.7. So that should tell you that the conditions are improving. Bartlett in second, 1.3 seconds back now, and being warned about track limit, so he's probably going to have to settle for second, I think. Don't know that he's going to be able to really push as hard as he'd like now to try and take that time back out of Ali. So maybe the focus is more on third. Maybe it could be on second, because actually Foden and Chisnell are suddenly eating into Steve Bartlett's advantage. Bartlett is off the pace a little bit. Maybe he's just made a mistake. 991 is off now, Simon Privet, but again, because the gravel is more compacted now than it is in the dry, they're not getting buried in that gravel trap, so they can actually drive their way out, which is handy. So again, we avoid the need for a safety car or an early race stoppage. But yeah, Foden and Chisnell, I think at this rate, are going to catch Steve Bartlett before the flag. As, again, there's a little bit of localised rain up at Graham Hill Bend. Steve Foden trying to chase after the second place man. Let's compare lap times. Well, Bray does another fastest lap, a 104.3, a 105.2 for Bartlett, a 5.0 for Foden and for Chisnell. So Foden and Chisnell very evenly matched. They were both about a quarter of a second quicker that time than Steve Bartlett ahead of them. The gap second to third is 1.3 seconds with only 2 laps to go. Bartlett way wide at Druids, though. He's made a mistake. That was too wide. That wasn't just the wet line he was taking. That was a big mistake. The rain is coming down heavily again. And is this going to cost Steve Bartlett second position? He's really starting to feel the pressure now from Foden, although Foden has a poor run off Graham Hill Bend. Neil Chisnell sees a chance to get to the inside, but decides better of that because they're heading into a wall of rain again now at Surtees Corner. This is exactly what we've seen in previous races. When it rains, it really rains, and it makes the going very treacherous indeed. Bartlett right to the edge of the road, a bit closer actually to the edge of the road than Foden and Chisnell, who are that busy battling each other, they might just let Steve Bartlett off the hook here. Bray across the line does another fastest lap despite the rain, a 1:04.331. Andy was in traffic too. That's astonishing. He's 3.9 seconds ahead now as he begins the final lap of the race. The real question is who will join him on the podium and in which order. Steve Bartlett, Steve Foden and Neil Chisnell, the three contenders. We're heading to the part of the circuit where Bartlett has lost time on the previous couple of laps. This time he does not go for the wide line. Turns in nice and early, and I think he's had a clean run through Druids this time. Yes, he has. So maybe it's all about third place. There is traffic that they're going to have to deal with here. And the rain continuing to come down, so it's not over yet. Chisnell looking for the switchback on Foden. I think he's got it. He wriggles at the inside. He's got the overlap down the Cooper straight. No, he hasn't. Foden's car performing well in a straight line. And despite not seemingly getting such a great exit, he's still ahead by the time they get to Surtees corner. Through clearways, though, comes Ali Bray, and, well, he's going to drift his way home in celebration. Oh, don't lose it, Ali. He will claim another race victory. His unbroken win record continues. Ali Bray claims the hat-trick at his home circuit at Brands Hatch, and that time in much more dominant fashion than we've seen in the previous encounters. Steve Bartlett second, Steve Foden third, and Neil Chisnell comes home in fourth with Adam Sparrow charging fifth, where he'll be disappointed with that off earlier on. And I think actually Adam might be a little bit disappointed with the weekend on the whole. It promised great things after qualifying yesterday, but it's just not quite happened. He's not had a podium all weekend, has Adam Sparrow. Harry Storer, Richard Wootton, Adam Craig, Ollie Walden and Andrei Balyev complete the top 10. Andrei Balyev is your Masters winner, and the rookie winner goes to Thomas Walker from the back of the grid, 14th place. He gets the rookie win, quite some way ahead of Matthew McCluskey, who also, in fairness, came from 24th on the grid to finish 15th and second in the rookie class. 11 seconds adrift of Walker, but a good result nonetheless for McCluskey. So he'll be very, very pleased with that end to his weekend. But that one, a little bit of a calmer race for us. The drivers probably won't feel the same because they've had to contend with those very treacherous track conditions, but which has kept on changing all race. They got drier, then it got wetter. But even when it was getting wetter, Ali Bray was getting quicker, and he won by 3.7 seconds, nearly 3.8 seconds in the end over Steve Bartlett in second, Steve Foden third, and Neil Chisnell in fourth. Adam Sparrow completes the top five ahead of Harry Storer, Richard Wootton, Adam Craig and Ollie Walden, with Andrei Balyev claiming another Masters class victory. Michael Green was 11th after a gravelly excursion early on. Pete Smith was 12th, Keith Dalton 13th, and Thomas Walker from the back of the grid finished 14th and gets the win in the rookie trophy. 15th was Matthew McCluskey, 16th Matthew Tiller. They were second and third respectively in the rookie trophy. Paul Tucker was the third of the Masters home, ahead of Tim Storer, Simon Privet, Clive Chisnell and Graham Rumsey, who were a lap down. So was Andrew Gilligan. Donovan Dyer 3 laps down after his off. James Seal, with a car that was damaged earlier on today, was 4 laps down, whilst Chris Thelwell retired after spinning and bringing out the safety car up at Clearways Corner. Well, good racing from the MX-5 Championship drivers all weekend long, and we look forward to more of the same of that now through the rest of the season. The next event for the Mazdas will be on the Snetterton 300 circuit in May, 17th, 18th of May. I'm not sure if that's one of the events that's being live streamed or not, but either way you can follow them on social media and get all of the updates on how things are going as they head to Snetterton for the third event of the season. Right, let's head down to hear from Richard John Neal fairly quickly, I suspect, from our podium finishers.
Oh, it is going to be quick because we've got cars on grid, haven't we? So, Steve Foden, we're going to do a very quick 3, 2, 1. Steve, congratulations, and a little bit of a tap there in pit lane.
Yeah, a little bit of a tap in pit lane. I think we need to save that stuff for on track, don't we? Yeah, wow, yeah, what a race. I mean, it's quite a contrasting, comparison to the other two races from today, which were both bright and sunny, and then the rain came down. I'm just quite happy just to finish the race. I've not driven one of these cars in the rain in like 18 months or so I'm just happy to finish the race, but to finish on the podium, and obviously 3 podiums this weekend, it's good points.
Excellent indeed. Always good to chat to you on the podium, Steve. Lovely to see you. Well done.
Say as well, just a big shout out to Mark and all those at Thermal Road. Thank you for your support. It's been great having you here this weekend.
Top man as ever, Steve Foden. Thanks very much. Second position goes to Richard Bartlett. I think he's having a quick chat. Let's get Ali Bray in, the double hat-trick man. Ali, superb, mate. Well done.
Cheers, mate.
You haven't got a hand free, yes, you have there. Well done.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you to make it 6 on the bounce?
It's absolutely unbelievable. I'm just so grateful to be out here racing. I'm having so much fun. The team are doing a great job. All my sponsors, Paul Austin, Finish Line UK, Atkinson Body Repair, Revival's Rolling Road, Graphics Lab, like it wouldn't be possible without them. And you know, I've got my family here, and yeah, I'm having a great time.
Nice one. Well done, Ali. We'll catch up next time. All the very best. Quick word with Neil Chisnell. Sorry, Steve Bartlett. Totally. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Good race. That was a mega race.
Yeah, no, frustrating. I couldn't go one better, but no, credit to Ali. He's quicker than me in the end. So, yeah, no, brilliant.
Well done, Steve. Sorry to cut it short. Let's have a quick word with Andre. We finally get to talk. Masters winner. Sorry we didn't catch up earlier on.
Okay.
Many congratulations. What does it mean to you getting a win at Brands Hatch in these conditions?
Oh, it's good. It's good. I never drive on this track before. I never raced here, so it's good.
It's a mega achievement. Very well done.
Thank you very much.
And we look forward to seeing you next time. We've got cars on the grid for the next race. I'm sorry we cut it short, but well done. Congratulations. Andre Abulev takes the Masters win. Congratulations, Andre. Let's go back to the commentary box and the dry, more significantly, and Andy McEwen.
I don't know, Richard. I'm looking at these windows in front of me and the rain pouring down them, and remembering the fact that this building was built quite a long time ago. We are actually, if you want a reference for where I am, I'm right at the very top of that hospitality building, the left-hand side one, the little greenhouse at the top, the penthouse suite, as it's affectionately known. That is not an accurate description, I should say, but it does give a good view of the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, and it gives a good view at the moment of the cars out on their green flag laps. They'll likely have 2 green flag laps again. The cars in the Ricci Concept Classic VW Cup and Hickford Construction MG Metro Cup. It would help probably if I did have the right grid in front of me and I wasn't looking at a Formula Ford grid. I can tell you Ken Lark has pole position because he won the race. Not on screen, on my laptop. No, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Carry on. Ken Lark on pole. Kerry Lewis second. Then it is Paul Hoggins and Paul Dunningham on row 2. Gary Fletcher and Dawn Butcher on row 3. Stephen Watson and Christopher Garnham are together on the 4th row of the grid ahead of Chris Adams and Jack Ashton. Jack Ashton, the first of the MG Metros on the grid, 10th overall. Matthew Simpson and Tim Shooter are also MG Metro competitors, 2nd and 3rd in class on the grid because they were 2nd and 3rd in class in the race earlier on today as well. Mike Williams, also a Metro, starts on row 7 alongside Ellie Dixon. Thomas Redford and John Moore share the 8th row. Richard Garrard and Kyla Garrard on the 9th row of the grid, with Neil Burnett and Paul Deacon on the 10th row. Carl Wheaton and Dick Trevitt on row 11. Row 12, Jonathan McGorn and hopefully Tony Absalom, although I can't see him on track out of the window. Tony Hunter also, I doubt, will have at the back of the grid, whose car expired very smokily, and indeed with a few flames as well, just to add a bit of drama in qualifying earlier on today. Well, as you saw during those post-race Mazda MX-5 interviews, the rain has returned. I'm going to stop saying now that this is the last rain we're going to have today because I've been proven wrong every time I've said that. It is very much still raining. The track is getting very wet again. There's a lot of spray being kicked up even on the green flag lap at relatively low speed. And as the cars make their way around, I think this is the end of the 2nd green flag lap. Yes, it is. Ken Lark, the winner from the race earlier on. It was such a shame that we've lost Tony Absalom, though. Tony Absalom, who was a real challenger to Ken Lark in the early part of the race. Indeed, he got past Ken Lark early on in race 1, and then Ken was gifted the lead back again when Tony's car ran into mechanical troubles at Paddock Hill Bend, and he pulled off to the side of the road. Ken, though, will have not having all his own way in this race. That Corrado is a very powerful beast, and might be a bit tricky to get all of that power down in these conditions. Perhaps this is an opportunity for some of the more agile cars, more handling-based cars to move forward. Keep an eye on the likes of Jack Ashton as well. Ashton his main priority, of course, is winning the Metro class, but he was 10th place overall and troubling some of the Classic VWs. Red lights then are on. We're about to go racing in the Classic VW Cup and the MG Metro Cup at Brands Hatch. Away they go, and Ken Lark does predictably get a lot of wheel spin. The four-wheel drive Audis are going well. Again, that's not a huge surprise. And it's Carey Lewis who will get the lead, or will he? No, charging around the outside. That was one of the Audis. Christopher Garnham, surely not. He was 8th on the grid. Well, I suppose with the power of four-wheel drive, anything's possible, and it is the 15. Quattro Power has sent, or Quattro Traction more to the point, has sent Christopher Garnham from 8th on the grid to the lead as they go round Druids Corner. Carey Lewis is in 2nd place. 3rd is the second of those Audis, Paul Dunningham, I believe, as they drop down into Graham Hill Bend. In fact, there's 3 Audis in the top 4. Ken Lark is only 5th and Jack Ashton is 6th. So as I thought might be the case, the Metros in the wet are not that much slower than the rest, and Ken Lark is slow. Ken Lark is slow down the Cooper Straight. The race 1 winner is going slowly. The Corrado, I think, is in a bit of trouble. It bogged down, had a lot of wheel spin actually on the initial start to the race, and now, unfortunately, seems to be touring into the pit lane. That's a real shame, but it does throw the cat among the pigeons a bit, doesn't it, as far as the favourites for this second race. The four-wheel drive Audis to the 4 then. It's Garnham the leader. It is Carey Lewis 2nd. 3rd is the number 53 of Stephen Watson in his Audi A3. Then another Audi A3, which is Paul Dunningham in 4th. Now, those Audis running Class P, the production class. Carey Lewis's car is a modified car. The leading classic vehicle is now Chris Adams there, the white and blue VW Golf in 7th place overall. That's the class that Ken Lark has retired from, because there is Ken touring down the pit lane. There's no one there to help him, I'm afraid. He's just going to head back to the outer paddock, and that is going to be his day done, unfortunately. So, Garnham with the lead, and okay, seeing one of the four-wheel drive Audi A3s get the lead in these conditions is not a huge shock. I was just particularly surprised that it was the 8th placed car that was able to get it. It was the 3rd of the Audis on the grid. So there were 2 other cars with four-wheel drive ahead of him who did not get off the line as well. So Chris Garnham can be very pleased with his start. Carey Lewis, though, is starting to take some time back out of him. Carey was half a second quicker than Garnham that time around, as here Jack Ashton tries to hold on to 5th position. Paul Hoggins will go through, though, on the inside into Paddock Hill Bend, and Chris Adams will go with him. Jack Ashton needs to be a bit careful, because the next car behind, I think, is... no, it's not. Mike Williams there goes through down in 10th place, so he's got a big lead in the Metro Cup. Matthew Simpson, who was 2nd of the Metros earlier on today, runs 3rd in class at the moment. Chris Adams runs wide and takes Jack Ashton with him there at Druids. They avoided contact, but Jack was trying to have a nibble back around the outside of the Golf and had to bail out of it as they went round the right-hander at Druids Corner. There is the 3rd placed Metro, that being Matthew Simpson, who was 2nd in class earlier on. Mike Williams there, the green number 28 car, is up into 2nd place in that class. Leaders go through. New fastest lap now set by Chris Garnham. So Chris Garnham, 1 minute 1.053, but matched almost to the 100th of a second by Carey Lewis. So they're pretty evenly matched, those two. They're checking out for the rest of the field as Mike Williams has a bit of a wobble through the final corner at Clearways and accelerates up through the gears, through Clark Curve and out onto the main straight. Across the line they go. Look at all the Metros together on the timing tower there, aren't they? From 10th place back to 19th is the MG Metro Cup. So they're all running nose to tail in the timing tower, and indeed on track it's pretty close as well. That is Richard Garrard, I think, isn't it? Trying to get past... Sorry, Dick Trevor tried to get past Kyler Garrard, is it? For 6th position in the class. Round... Paddock Hill Bend they go. There's a slow Audi. There is a slow Audi at Druids. Which of the Audis is that? One of the A3s that was up inside the top 4. Chris Garnham. I think it's Dunningham. I think Dunningham hasn't... No, Dunningham's come through. So who is it? There is a slowing Audi. It's 53 there. That is Stephen Watson. So Stephen Watson has slowed, and that's one of those Audi A3s out of the race. Pulls up just in front of the safety car, and then starts to roll back. And the gate being open for it, so they'll be able to get that car out of harm's way before too much longer. We've had a spin for a Metro, I think, as well, coming out of Druid's corner as this Metro battle continues on. Dick Trevitt up the inside, Kyler Garrard on the outside, and Dick finally gets through and will pick up what I think is 6th position in the class. Next target, Tim Shooter, the white and green MG Metro just up the road. Chris Gardner then 1.2 seconds now clear, starting to put in a few more fastest laps of the race. So his Audi still on song. As Kerry Lewis struggles to stick with him, although again, only a tenth. In fact, Kerry Lewis quite a bit quicker that time. They've just got across the line and the gap's down to 7/10. Here comes the Metro Brigade. Tim Shooter already falling behind Dick Trevitt. So Dick is going really quickly in this race. He was pretty competitive in race 1, but had to make a pit lane visit for reasons unknown. Got back on track a few laps down, but now we're seeing exactly what he's capable of. And the very experienced MG Metro campaigner is up now into 5th position in class. Tim Shooter losing out here to Kyler Garrard as well. Oh, Dick Trevitt sideways. No, just as I was praising him, he's got around and he's stuck in the middle of the road at the exit of Surtees corner. That's not a nice place to be. He's trying to roll off the track. Oh, thank goodness for that. Gets going again right in front of the leaders. Oh, and around has got Kyler Garrard as well, so they both looped it going through Surtees. Kyler Garrard now does a quick U-turn, gets going again. So that shows how treacherous the conditions are out there. I don't think it's actually raining up there. I think that's just the slippery surface catching a couple of those Metros out. I mentioned this in race 1, that you drive these Metros on a very sideways anyway in the dry. You've got to have them really rotating on the nose. That's the quickest way to drive them, but in the wet that can make them a real handful. Here come the leaders up the hill. It's nose to tail now for the lead, and Chris Gardner has been reeled in by Kerry Lewis, not helped of course by the fact that Chris had to slam on the brakes there to avoid the spinning Metros, plural. Oh, speaking of spins, that is the 58 car off, Paul Hoggins from 4th position, exiting Clark Curve, digs his way out of the gravel and carries on, but that second half of the lap is proving particularly slippery at the moment, isn't it? There's Paul Dunningham in 3rd, picking his way past the Metros. Through the final corner come the leading 2. We are ticking now towards half race distance, just over 7.5 minutes to go. Chris Gardner doing his best to get the lead gap down. 8/10 between the two of them. Gardner leading, Lewis 2nd, Dunningham 3rd, and Chris Adams should still be in 4th. I think the classic class leader, Class C, leading 2. Head through Druid's corner then, 8/10 between them, and Chris Gardner with a little bit of defending to do maybe. I say that, I'm not sure he does right now. I think that Audi is so quick off the corners, it's going to be very difficult for Kyrie Lewis to actually make an overtake on him. I don't think that's going to be an easy thing to do. The VW, I think, is maybe better through the corners themselves, and there, look, really close it in under braking, but then the Audi just got the traction off the corner. That time around, though, actually, the gap does come down through the final sector, so this might be Kerry Lewis's opportunity. He's closing in as they cross the timing line. Is there a move to be made into Paddock Hill Bend? Well, Chris Gardner's going to try and cover the inside line. They're also trying to go to the inside of one of the Metros, so that limits the possibilities for Kerry Lewis, who gets stuck behind the slower car and will have to wait for another opportunity. There's Paul Hoggins. He dropped to 9th after his spin. And around the outside goes Chris Gardner's Audi. Dropping down through the 90-degree left-hander at Graham Hill Bend, but this is where Kerry Lewis seems to build a bit of a challenge, doesn't he? He did a lap ago. There's no traffic immediately in front of them now as they turn through Surtees. Is Kerry Lewis going to try something into clearways? I don't think he's close enough. No, he's not on the way in. And again, the Audi should have the traction on corner exit. I think if Lewis is going to do it, it will have to be under braking, won't it? That's where the VW seems slightly stronger now. With no traffic ahead of them this time, is there a chance maybe into Paddock? He's about as close as he was a lap ago. And I'll say there's no traffic. It's a very similar situation, actually. 2 Metros this time that they have to slip up the inside of. They catch these Metros so quickly, these much more powerful classic VW Cup cars. If you're asking why we have an Audi, lots of Audis in fact in the classic VW Cup, it's because it's all part of the Volkswagen group, isn't it? Off has gone the number 40, that's Paul Deacon. And off goes Kerry Lewis. Kerry Lewis from second place has lost it at Graham Hill Bend. Slides across the inside edge of the road, selects first gear and carries on, but he might lose second place here to Paul Dunningham. Paul Dunningham with the Audi gets alongside, he's on the outside line, goes through into Surtees. So a costly error there for Kerry Lewis. He was pushing pretty hard to challenge Chris Garnham. And that's how hard he was pushing, because he looped it going into Graham Hill Bend. Didn't actually see how he did that. It's possible that he dipped a wheel on the green painted concrete that's just on driver's right on the way into the corner. I'll point it out next time they go through there, but I wonder whether he just dipped his right rear wheel onto that, and might have been enough to send the car into half a spin. He's trying already to get back to the inside of Dunningham at paddock, but isn't close enough to do it. Plunge downhill, up Hailwood Hill, into the braking zone at Druids. Always a popular spectator area up at Druids, because there's usually some action to be had in the tight right-hander. Then they come downhill to the scene of the crime for Kerry Lewis. Now just look about there, that green patch of concrete on the outside of the road, that will be very slippery in these conditions. I wonder whether maybe Kerry just dipped his wheel onto that as he turned in, and you're loading up the right rear corner of the car there as well as you pitch it into the downhill corner. It's a tricky corner anyway, Graham Hill Bend, because you're coming steeply downhill, so it's difficult to get the car stopped anyway, and then you turn in and the camber just disappears. It's a completely flat corner, and it makes it very easy to lose the rear anyway on corner entry, especially in conditions such as these. To Kerry Lewis's hopes of winning the race now surely all but gone. He's actually dropped 2 seconds now behind Chris Garnham. There is Jack Ashton, by the way. This is the battle for 4th position now. Jack Ashton is in the top 5 already. He's comfortably the leading Metro, but he wants to try and get into 4th place here ahead of Chris Adams. He is in behind the VW Golf GTI, and is looking maybe to make his move down the Cooper Straight. Now the Golf will definitely have more power. The Metro, though, I think is running rings around it through the tighter corners, through Surtees. That's quite a quick corner, but then they head into McLaren and Clearways. And is there going to be a gap to the inside? Well, certainly there is, because Chris Adams is taking the wet line, but Jack Ashton doesn't seem to need the wet line. He's just found some grip on the inside where no one else can, and he's gone through. So Jack Ashton, 4th position now. Don't think he can catch Kerry Lewis, who is considerable margin ahead, I think. But Jack Ashton, in fact, yes, Kerry Lewis is nearly a full lap ahead, but Ashton to 4th position. Brilliant driving this from Jack Ashton, setting his stall out at the start of the season as the clear favourite in the MG Metro Cup. There is the leader, Chris Garnham, coming through behind to put a lap on these cars. So he's lapping the 5th placed car, Chris Adams. Shortly lap the 4th placed car, Jack Ashton. Jack even lapping other Metro drivers now. I mean, it's just astonishing how quick he is. Always has been, as Jack, although he's had some close races in the past in the Metro Cup. This weekend it's not been that close, has it really? He has been utterly, utterly dominant, and will be a tough man to beat as we go through the rest of the season. There he goes. Oh, huge slide from Jack, but he just floors the throttle, steers into the slide, and again, he is comfortable with a car that does that. That is the quick way. Well, that probably was a bit too sideways, but generally speaking, that's the quick way to drive those cars. He does now go a lap down to the leader. There's Paul Dunningham, by the way. Now, Dunningham is coming after Chris Garnham through traffic. Paul Dunningham has been quite a bit quicker, and on the previous... Oh, in fact, Garnham had a really slow lap that time. That's why he was 3 and a bit seconds slower than Paul Dunningham. We've got 2 laps to go. Has the number 46 car got an answer for the number 15? They're both identical cars, remember, both Audi A3s with a 2-litre turbocharged engine, 4-wheel drive, hence why they're dominating in these conditions. But he's only got 1 car, look, between himself now and the leading Audi. So the leading Audi is the car with the blue highlights at the back. The red highlights there is the chasing car of Paul Dunningham. And if he can get past Tim Shooter quickly, he might have an opportunity on this final lap to go for the race lead. This is turning into quite a grandstand finish between the Audis. Garnham's car, for whatever reason, fading. And Paul Dunningham looking now to try and take advantage of that. Around the outside of the Polo goes the leader. He's a bit slow in a straight line, isn't he? Here comes Dunningham. We're about to start the final lap, and there's only a car length or so between the top two cars. Half a second in it, and another slow lap, a full 1.2 seconds slower than the chasing car for Chris Garnham. So Paul Dunningham suddenly, almost certainly didn't see this coming. He suddenly has a real opportunity to steal the race victory away into Druids. The two cars who I believe are prepared by the same team. Surely they're not just slowing down for a formation finish, because I don't think Garnham could have known where Kerry Lewis was in all of this, but he does seem to have picked up the pace again now that he's out of the traffic. Down the Cooper Straight, headlights ablaze for Dunningham as well, which sort of suggests that he's on the attack, but he's not close enough to do anything as they turn into Surtees. Garnham's car pitches in, nicely balanced into the final turn at Clearways. I think he's going to be okay, but through the traffic, Paul Dunningham made this an awful lot closer than it looked like it was going to be. The time has ticked to 0 though. The checkered flag is waiting, and the four-wheel drive Audis come to the fore in the wet conditions here at Brands Hatch. It's a race victory for Chris Garnham and second for Paul Dunningham in the second race of the weekend for the Ricci Concept Classic VW Cup. Both of those cars, of course, running in the production class. Kerry Lewis, after that half spin, ends up in third position, but still wins the modified category, and Jack Ashton fourth overall for our Hickford Construction MG Metro Cup winner, and a full lap ahead of most of the rest of the Metro field. Mike Williams, I think, is only now coming through the final couple of corners, so dominant performance that from him. And the cars make their way back around to Parc Fermé, with the cars for the SW Motorsport ClubSport Trophy waiting to vacate the assembly area and head out onto track for their one race, the final race of what has been a very entertaining weekend of racing here at Brands Hatch. It's Christopher Garnham, the winner in the VW Cup, and it is a production class victory for him as well. Paul Dunningham second, third for Kerry Lewis, the modified winner. Jack Ashton wins the Hickford Construction Limited MG Metro Cup in fourth, and Chris Adams in fifth position is also a class winner in Class C, as all of the class winners there represented inside the top 5 overall. Dawn Butcher is sixth ahead of Thomas Redford. Mike Williams was second of the Metro's home. Matthew Simpson was third, and John Moore completing the top 10 also in the Metro class ahead of Richard Garrard, Ellie Dixon, Tim Shooter and Carl Wheaton in 14th position. 15th place, Dick Trevitt, 16th Kyler Garrard, these cars 2 laps down. Paul Deacon was 17th, Jonathan McGorn was 18th, Neil Burnett was 19th, and then Paul Hoggins, who had that spin into the gravel trap, eventually pulled into the pit lane to retire. Gary Fletcher also failed to finish, as did Stephen Watson, and Ken Lark pulled into the pit lane at the end of the opening lap. So it's a very different look to the front of the field after that second race, at least in the Classic VW Cup, not so much in the MG Metro Cup, where Jack Ashton was once again a convincing race winner. But for the Ricci Concept Classic VW Cup, that was an awful lot different, the running order at the end of race 2 compared to race number 1. So cars peeling into the pit lane and into the Parc Fermé area. As I said, one more race to go. It is the SW Motorsports ClubSport Trophy, and a 45-minute race with pit stops in the middle of that as well. So it's a slightly different way to end the day, but always a popular way to end these BRSCC race weekends, and we're excited to see what the final race of the day has in store for us. Cars then more or less all off the track now, I think. Yes, they are. And the marshals will just head out and check on the track conditions at their various corners, but I don't imagine we'll hang around here and getting the ClubSport cars out on track. Got plenty of time before curfew, but not if we get a red flag or something, and with the conditions as they are, you have to sort of prepare for that, don't you, in a way? So, I think we can head downstairs momentarily then. Indeed we can, to hear from Richard John Neal. He's going to catch up then with our podium finishers after a thoroughly entertaining second race of the weekend.
A change of scene for you. Never let it be said we don't give you variety, and we've had that, of course, in bucket loads this weekend. And rather than sort of ferry the drivers up towards the podium, we thought we'd grab them here. Congratulations, Chris Garnham.
Thank you very much.
Oh, scary in the last. We thought he was closing in you. What happened? What happened? Traffic?
Carey spun out. There was a bit of traffic, and I thought I was free, so I just took it easy. And then I see Paul catching me, so I had to put my foot down a little bit more. But thankfully, I brought it home, and yeah, it's my first win.
Many congratulations. Oh, blood chuff for you, mate. Well done.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I enjoy the wet, so yeah, comes naturally, apparently.
Do you know, once you get that first win, it's off your shoulder and you can do it many more times. But you enjoyed it. It was wet. Metros to deal with as well, which was a new experience for you guys.
Kind of everywhere, to be fair. Obviously, the blue flags do help a little bit, but they've got their own race to race. So, thankfully, there was no contact. I did nearly pick one up at the top of the hairpin, but yeah, we come out unscathed.
And your interview was good too. Well done, Chris. A bit short because we've got cars going on the grid, but well done. A very quick word with Paul Dunningham. You nearly caught him.
Yeah, very nearly. Yeah, we just did everything we could. We're just a small independent garage, Pinnacle Automotive. We don't have the budget of some of the big cars, so when it rains, it levels the playing field a bit, and we can actually run at the front and keep up with Carey a little bit.
That's a good run. Well done. Great to
much.
chat to you, Paul. Thanks very much. And very quick word with Carey as well. We spoke for race 1, and maybe catch a bit of curb down there.
I'm not quite sure what went wrong there. I think there might have been a bit of mud on the corner or something, but he got very, very squirmy. Nothing I could do. Spun out, managed to get it on the circuit, and then Paul came past me. He done well not to hit me, which I was happy with, and the rest of it was just brilliant.
2 podiums from you, some great driving. Thanks for entertaining us. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Carey. Very well done indeed. Thanks for that. See if we could grab Jack Ashton. If we can, we've got the other cars on track. Has Jack disappeared to the podium or not? Jack Ashton anywhere? I can't see him. He's vacated the car. There's the winning car. Probably the best bet at this stage is if we say well done to... It's kind of worked out because we had more Metro chat earlier on. But we're looking forward now to the SW Motorsports ClubSport Trophy. They are on track. Andy, if you need the starting drivers, I've got those. I'm going to share those with Josh, the circuit commentator as well. So if you do want to come back to me on those a little bit later on, maybe once the race is underway, happy to fill you in with that. But in the meantime, enough from me. Back to Mr. McEwen upstairs.
Well, thank you, Richard. Well, I have been sent the starting drivers list, if I can get my teeth in, by Lindsay Close, who is, I believe these days, the coordinator for the SW Motorsports ClubSport Trophy. She also made sure that I received the drivers' information forms. There are not that many, but it's an improvement on any other championship that's here this weekend. It's always nice when the drivers provide a bit of information about themselves, so I'll do my best to work through those forms to thank the drivers who have bothered to fill them in to get them to Lindsay so that she can pass them over to me. But however, she did tell me on the subject of starting drivers, Richard, that there were possibly going to be some changes, so if you've got a more up-to-date list, then that would be very useful indeed. In the meantime, this is how the cars lined up on the grid for our final race of the weekend. You may have caught qualifying on the live stream earlier on in the day. For Rose Billamoria's VW Scirocco was fastest. Second quickest, Julian Daniels' VW Golf, despite only competing in half of the session. Shane Kelly in the Morgan Plus 4, that's going to be a handful in these conditions. He was third on the grid, ahead of the Pelosi and Larkin Audi TT, the number 7 car shared by Jason Pelosi and Josh Larkin, who we caught up with in the lunch break. Adam Marshall and Nick Brady share row 3. That is a VW Golf ahead of an Audi TT. A couple more Audis next. Another TT of Will Stacey is 7th, and the Audi TFSI 2-litre of Alistair Lindsay 8th on the grid. The Wattlinger Wheeler Fiesta is 9th alongside James Alford's Honda Civic EP3. Kieran Power and Chris Murphy in a pair of BMW Z4s that run in Class B are on the 6th row, and another Z4 of the Novobilskis is on the 13th spot alongside Mark Jones. Stephen Harrison in the Honda S2000s has Mike Parsons for company on row 8 as the second green flag lap now begins. Matt Adams is starting 17th ahead of the number 77 car that's shared by Darren and Joseph Dukes. Jonathan Hobbs, 19th on the grid in his Peugeot 106 Rally. That's the top Class D car in qualifying. Then the pair of Dennis's, number 1, 2, 3, which is the only other car, one of 3 cars in Class D. That's the Renault Clio RS2000. Elliot Walker is next in his Mini Cooper. Gary Hobbs, the first of the 2 very evenly matched Class E cars. Gary Hobbs' Hyundai Coupe, run by Misty Racing, was only a 1/10.5 quicker than the Pete Smith and Josh Bromley Mazda MX-5, number 276, which also runs in Class E. Then it is the Sheed and Eidson BMW. Now, that car's been a front runner and I believe a race winner in ClubSport Trophy before, but only got out right at the end of qualifying, so didn't set a representative lap time. They will be starting 24th, and then the Paul Sheard prepared Mazda MX-5, which Paul will, I believe, be having a driving stint in, will start at the back of the 15-car grid. So pole position then for Feroz Billamoria, and the VW Scirocco driver will be keen to try and hold on to that advantage and maybe break away at the front of the field. That could be easier said than done though, because look, the rain is returning again with a vengeance. We just can't shake this rain off, can we, throughout the afternoon at Brands Hatch. But fingers crossed we get a good close race here nonetheless, as we look forward to getting cars up to speed. It's a little bit of a fragmented 2x2 rolling start this. The first 3 rows have got the memo, the rest getting left behind a little bit, but off we go. Feroz Billamoria then leads the field into Paddock Hill Bend, or does he? Julian Daniel gets his nose ahead briefly on the run to Paddock Hill Bend, but Feroz, yes, does hold on to that inside line. Shane Kelly hanging on well so far in the Morgan, but that's because he's only had to go through 1 corner. I can imagine the tighter stuff, that car is not going to handle all that well. That being said, he's late on the brakes, goes around the outside of Julian Daniel, but there's no grip, and he will have to let the Golf go, and might now lose a place to the Jason Pelosi prepared Audi TT. Out wide went one of the BMW Z4s. They drop down through Graham Hill Bend and rush along the Cooper Straight for the first time. Billamoria the leader then, Daniel second, third for Kelly, fourth for Pelosi, Larkin, Audi. So it's grid order across the top 4. Then it is, I think, Nick Brady in the 196 car who's got into 5th place. That's the first car that's sort of moving forwards significantly, gaining a place or 2 from where he started. Billamoria leading, Daniel second, change on here for 3rd maybe, looks like it, because Shane Kelly's Morgan is now losing out to the Pelosi and Larkin Audi. The Morgan's got good speed in a straight line, but not able to complete the pass into Paddock Hill Bend. Shane Kelly, who I mentioned in qualifying was a former F3 Cup champion. I don't think I realised that he'd done Formula 4 before that. In fact, he was the 1999 BRDC Formula 4 champion. Didn't realise he'd been around for quite that long. Then 7 years later, he won the F3 Cup for the first time in 2006, then won it again in 2021. That's quite a big gap between championship successes. He did then move into Prague's and prototype racing in 2023, when he also had some appearances in the Morgan Challenge. In fact, he was the Morgan Challenge champion, so that's the link to the Morgan. And Shane Kelly, who, as always, is running as part of the university race team that he was running with back in his single-seater racing days as well. And so a big shout out to all of the university students who helped to prepare the car. And he's looking now to get that car back into a podium place if he can. He's in the wheel tracks of Jason Pelosi. Well, is it Jason Pelosi? Hang on, let's refer to the list that that I was sent earlier on. The number 7 car isn't on there. Excellent. Oh, hang on, it might be on page 2. Bear with me. Yes, Jason Pelosi starting. There we go. Thank you, Lindsay. I forgot there were 2 images that you'd sent me. So it is Jason Pelosi starting. Josh will be in for the 2nd stint. Now there is this the Class E battle? It's certainly the Class E Hyundai of Jonathan Hobbs. The car behind him is the number 276, so not the 178. That MX-5 runs in Class D, but the white, predominantly white MX-5 behind, that is the other Class E car. So this is a battle for class honours. I thought this would be close in the race. It's proven to be the case. We believe, oh well, we're going to have a lead change here, are we? Up the inside they are going, and it's Pete Smith, I believe, who's taken the opening stint. He is challenging for the class lead down the Cooper Straight. But the Hyundai, I think, is going to hang on. Yes, just about manages it. This is one of those great battles that you only really see in the ClubSport Trophy. A rear-wheel drive MX-5 against a front-wheel drive Hyundai and a slow Renault Megane. Very slow Renault Megane. That's the number 68 car that I think was off the pace there. And the 2 Class E cars doing well to avoid that machine. That would have been Matt Adams, the Renault in question. But here comes that classy battle, and Pete Smith has gone through in all of that. So Pete Smith went round the outside then of the Hyundai, picks up a place. That's really good driving from Pete Smith, who's had plenty of track time, I suppose, this weekend with 3 Mazda MX-5 races, qualifying for the ClubSport Trophy, and now taking on the opening stint with Josh Bromley to take over the car at the pit stops. Pit stops come, by the way, at 15 minutes in till 30 minutes in, so it's the middle 15 minutes where we have mandatory pit stops. But of course, if you're having problems, as is the case unfortunately for Matt Adams, then you can come in anytime you want. This won't count though as his mandatory pit stop. Off, speaking of problems, has gone the number 6 Audi. Now that was Alistair Lindsay, who was running in 7th place. He was 3rd in Class B at the time, but he's been off up at Clearways Corner. He's not the only one. That's the Hyundai. That's the Hobbs Hyundai then that was battling for Class E honours, and the Mini, which has had a rotation. That's the 126 car of Elliot Walker. Now, they weren't running particularly close together. Why, though, I wonder, have we suddenly had a spate of spins up at that part of the circuit? It's not raining as far as I can see, but always makes me a little bit suspicious when we have 2 or 3 cars spinning at about the same time, at about the same part of the track, almost as if maybe someone's been dropping fluid. We'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully that's not the case. Sadly, that now separates that Class E battle. Not sadly if you're Pete Smith and Josh Bromley, but sadly for us neutrals who just wanted to see a really close race. But we'll see whether or not it all comes back together again later on. All it takes is a safety car and everyone's back together. And in fact, despite spinning, Gary Hobbs is still the next car behind Pete Smith. He's just the length of the Cooper Straight, more or less, behind him. Right, an all BMW battle going on here then. This is for 9th position, I believe. The 24 car about to possibly lose a place to the Novobilskis. Yes, it was those two. The Novobilski car being started, I believe, by Richard Novobilski. The number 91 car, sort of burgundy liveried car. Kieran Power ahead. Now, despite the fact they're both BMW Z4s, they run in different classes because it's all based on power to weight. And so if you put a slightly bigger engine in your BMW Z4, you won't necessarily be in the same class as the other Z4s. So Novobilski's there in Class C. Kieran Power runs in Class B, slightly more powerful car. That's possibly what's sort of preventing Richard Novobilski from being able to make this move just yet, but he's still inside the top 10 and leading, crucially, in Class C. The next best Class C car, though, in fairness, is the Mini that had that spin of Elliot Walker. And the Novobilskis were quite a bit quicker than that car in qualifying anyway. Pete Smith now having a go at the other Mark 1 Mazda MX-5 and goes through on the inside of the Sheard and Gilligan machine. Now, I reckon that's probably Paul Sheard in the car for the opening stint. Did walk past Paul in the paddock earlier on, didn't quite have a chance to ask him the question, but Paul Sheard, team owner, legendary team owner in the Mazda MX-5 championships, plural. Wherever there is an MX-5 championship, you will see a Paul Sheard racing truck in the paddock. But any chance he gets to go out there and race, generally it is in the ClubSport Trophy, in fairness. He will give it a go. He is a racer at heart, Paul Sheard. Excellent at preparing MX-5s, but he's particularly good behind the wheel as well. Defending now is Pete Smith. Keeps that car behind. We've got the Renault Clio in the gravel up at Paddock Hill Bend. That's the 1-2-3 car, isn't it, I think, of the Dennis's. Not sure which Dennis was starting the car. Let's see if this list tells me. No, appears to be the answer. Don't think I do have the 1-2-3 on that list, unfortunately. But anyway, whichever of the Dennis's it was, they've got back out of the gravel trap and are continuing on their way. You're not missing anything at the front of the field, by the way. Froze Billamoria 5.5 seconds clear of Julian Daniel, who in turn has a couple of seconds in hand over Shane Kelly, although I think has lost a bit of time at the beginning of this lap in traffic. 2 MX-5s streak through as if we hadn't had enough Mazda MX-5 racing this weekend. The next car behind them, though, is the race leader, Froze Billamoria, who completes his 9th lap of the race. We are almost 10 minutes in, and he's 8 seconds up the road. And yes, Shane Kelly has caught up to Julian Daniels, so 2nd place is the battle now. They're 8 seconds behind this man, but they were only 3/4 of a second apart at the line, and Shane Kelly on the previous lap was a full second quicker. There is the Sheeden-Eidson car. Now, that car's been troubled all weekend. It was late out on parade in qualifying, and it's early out, I fear, of the 45-minute race. That car, I think, will be headed for the outer paddock. This is the fight for second. Now, Julian Daniel being caught rapidly over the last few laps by Shane Kelly. Shane Kelly then in the Morgan, makes his way up towards Clearways, starting now to feel the pressure from the car behind. Beautifully turned out car. This is the car, remember, that did have a collision with another vehicle in qualifying. Had a bit of trim that was knocked loose, but not too much damage done. They were able to patch the car together for the race. A little bit of tank tape on the left front corner, a bit of mud on the left front corner as well. And he is feeling the heat now, very much from Shane Kelly behind him. But where is the Shane Kelly car going to be able to make the pass? Well, I don't think it'll be the outside line at Druids somehow, Shane. Very wide went the Morgan, which I can imagine is not the easiest of cars to stop in these conditions, even steeply uphill as that braking zone is at Druids Corner. Got a big gap back to Jason Pelosi in 4th position, who still leads in Class B. Class C still by the Novobilskis. Class D led by, still the number 95 car, the Hobbs machine. Jonathan Hobbs, the Peugeot 105. Class E, of course, Pete Smith well ahead now of the other Hobbs, number 38 Hobbs, that being Gary Hobbs after his rotation up at Surtees Corner. The margin between those two is a fairly sizable one now. Julian Daniel getting back away from Shane Kelly now as well. Julian nips to the inside there into Druids Corner. Jason Pelosi comes through, another Audi TT not far behind. In fact, if we had a change there, yes we have. James Alford. James Alford's got through, so I missed that, apologies. James Alford up into 4th position. That's another Class A car, so it wasn't for class position for Pelosi. But James Alford, the green Honda Civic, coming towards us, up into 4th position then. So Alford with just sort of creeping up the order then. James started where? He started 10th on the grid. So he is someone who races better than he qualifies, isn't he? And wonder what further progress he can make then. Not a million miles behind the podium runners. So we'll keep an eye on that gap, just keep an eye on his lap time, see whether he is able to catch the group of cars ahead. He's certainly leaving Pelosi behind. Round Paddock Hill Bend they go. Fastest lap for Alford as well, actually, that time around, 101.0. So that was 1.1 seconds quicker than the race leader. So this is a car we need to watch out for then. He's 12 seconds off the lead, but James Alford is the fastest car out there by some margin. Only about a 10th quicker than Julian Daniel, who himself was quicker than the leader last time around, but nobody else can get close to their pace. They're the only two who are running in the 1-minute ones at the moment, so they've got a second a lap in pace over the rest of the field. Now, traffic may have had something to do with the leaders being a bit slower. There's no doubt about it. James Alford is going quickly. That is the quickest car, the quickest lap we've seen. And in fairness, if he hadn't beaten and hit the lap time, Julian Daniel would have had the fastest lap as well, because he improved on the previous occasion too. So those two are going very quickly indeed. Julian Daniel again is half a second, 6/10 in fact quicker than Perez Villamoria. Alford that time a 101.9. So actually slower than Shane Kelly ahead of him, who's sort of rallying back against the cars ahead. So the leader is in a lot of traffic. So this is about to get quite interesting. Perez Villamoria is picking his way through an awful lot of traffic. There he goes through shot, and he's being reeled in therefore quite quickly by the cars behind. He just went round the outside of Stephen Harrison in the where is Stephen at the moment? He is 16th position in the Honda S2000 and gets past the number 95 Peugeot as well. But Perez Villamoria is about to find that this lead gap has come down significantly. There is Julian Daniel nipping up the inside of the 54 car. Stephen Harrison, who started racing karts at the age of 8, and it was about 13 years later that he jumped into car racing. And Stephen was another driver who sent a driver information form over, says that his other hobbies are military vehicles and aircraft, and he's quite an accomplished baker. So, man of many talents is Stephen Harrison. He is 9th in Class B at the moment, is Stephen, battling away actually with the 721 for class position there, the BMW Z4 of Chris Murphy. Stays well out of the way of the leaders. There is the leader for Rose Billamoria, so he's now only 3.7 seconds up the road from the second place car. Got a BMW off, 2-4. Who would that have been? Anyway, not sure. They'll come past me now, so I'll identify it. No, they've gone through already. I'm sure that was 2-4 something, the number, but I don't think there is a 2-4. There is a 24. That'll probably be it, Andy. So that will be the Kieran Power car that went off, but back on. Minimal time lost. There we go. Thank you. 24. I think I was mistaking the B for another number. It does run in Class B, which makes sense. Here's the fight for second, and Julian Daniel. Well, it sort of ebbs and flows, this, doesn't it? He builds a margin over Shane Kelly, then Shane seems to catch him back up again, and then the gap goes out again. In traffic, though, Shane Kelly, with maybe that little bit of experience he's had in the Praga multi-class racing that he would have done with that car, as well as one make Praga racing, in fairness, but he would have done some multi-class stuff as well. That's just coming into play. He's good through the traffic. He closes on Julian Daniel when there are other cars around, but then Julian, once he gets into his rhythm, seems able to keep the Morgan at arm's length. It could be that the pit stops change this, and we are now into the pit window. 15 minutes have elapsed, so for the next 15 minutes, the pit lane is open. Everybody has to pit, and there is a minimum pit stop time that must be adhered to. So you can't be in and out of the pit lane too quickly. And that is something that definitely race control will be monitoring, as always they do. But generally speaking, they're pretty good at this. We don't get many penalties for too short a pit stop. The odd one, of course, but generally speaking, they are pretty good at timing it. And generally, teams will err on the side of caution anyway when it comes to the pit stop time. It's a minimum duration of 2 minutes, the pit stop, and that's time from pit in to pit out. So it's not the stationary time, it's the time from the moment they cross the pit in line to the moment they cross the pit out line. Oh, we've got a very smoky Mazda at Graham Hill Bend. It's the 178 car. Now that is the Paul Sheard car. There it is. That engine looks like it's expired. He's going slowly down the back straight, and he's left oil on the track. He's left oil on the track because we've got cars sliding at Graham Hill Bend. Here we go again, and of course now it's oil on water, which is even more treacherous. And the leader is going through that section. I'm watching this out of the window. He's got through okay. Oh, Shane Kelly arrives at real speed into Graham Hill Bend, slides around on the oil, but there is a streak of oil now all the way down the hill from Druids, through Graham Hill, down the Cooper Straight, through the last couple of corners as well. So the track conditions about to get very treacherous indeed. James Alford, by the way, is in the pit lane. He'll be blissfully unaware of all of this because he's elected to pit now early. That might prove to be a mistake, though, because if someone slips off into the gravel trap now and we get a safety car, that is a big disadvantage for anyone who's already pitted, because obviously 2 minutes, you'll lose a couple of laps around here. Julian Daniels in as well. He just set the fastest lap of the race, but he's in the pit lane now. 1 minute 0.438 was his lap time, as he was chasing down for Rose Billamoria anyway. There is the 178 car, which has laid this latest oil slick. That's been a bit of a theme today, hasn't it? We had it in the Formula Fords earlier on. Richard John Neal stood watching on as the team work on the car. But out has got, well, it was that Paul Sheard who got out. I'm not convinced it was. It's a lot of oil that's all over the inside of the engine bay. Sadly, it's all over the track as well. But drivers are generally, I think, able to pick their way around it. Now they've all seen it. They all know what... oh, as I say that, we've got an Audi sideways at Graham Hill Bend. Gathers it together. But, yeah, that car I don't think is going any further, is it? For the time being. So that's a shame. That's our one of our Class D cars gone. That leaves just Jonathan Hobbs' Peugeot and the Dennis's Renault Clio to do battle in that category. Here's Shane Kelly. Of course, no Julian Daniel in front of him now because Julian has pitted. So this is an opportunity for Shane to really take advantage of the clear, relatively clear track. He's not being held up by Julian anyway. So Shane Kelly, what can he do? Can he put in a few good laps here and do what the youngsters insist on calling the overcut, where you stay out a little bit longer whilst your rival is in the pit lane, use the clean air to go quicker, and then come out of the pit lane after your pit stop ahead. Adam Marshall is in, Richard Novobilski is in as well. There is Shane Kelly, former single-seater champion several times over, as we said. Continuing on for another lap. Feroz Billamori has gone through for another lap as well. And Julian Daniel actually just exiting the pit lane. There, look, the red VW Golf just behind Shane Kelly, but Shane yet to stop. So that's shows you, though, that you lose just over 2 full laps from that time spent in pit lane. It should actually be just under 2 laps, though, because Kelly's lapping in the 1 minute 2s. So 2 full laps is 2 minutes and 4 seconds. That suggests that Julian Daniel spent a bit longer in the pits than he should have done. And that's an opportunity, of course, for Shane to take advantage of as well. That oil, luckily, as slippery as it is on water, the water sort of spreads the oil around. So the whole track gets slippery, but at least it's not as concentrated an area of slipperiness. There's the 54 car in. Stephen Harrison, who began his racing career racing Scale Extra. Well, I think we can all say that. Maybe he did it competitively, because I know that is a thing. Then he progressed to radio control cars and into karting after that. And formed the Team Harrison Autosport team with his dad to try and compete in as many events as they can that fit the Honda S2000 in. And the SW Motorsports ClubSport Trophy is very grateful to have them on the grid. Shane Kelly is in the pit lane now. So you might be wondering what they do in these pit stops, because obviously the 2 driver teams, they will conduct a driver change, but that makes up only about a third of the cars. So what about the single driver entities? Well, they're not refueling. They don't bother changing tyres unless there's a problem with the tyres. They just sit there, basically, is the long and short of it. But they can do other work to the car. So clean the windscreen, demist the windscreen if you need to in these conditions, alter the tyre pressures. Usually bringing the tyre pressures down is the order of the day. Checking with the driver, give them a drink of water, and then send them back on their way roughly 2 minutes later. And the 73 VW Golf in as well there. Mike Parsons, that's Shane Kelly. His distinctive white gloves. He's pointing something out on the dashboard, maybe a dial or a light that's caught his attention, just checking that it's nothing too much to be worried about. And pulls in at this 45-degree angle. He'll be pushed back, I would imagine. Shane gives us a glance, but he's focused entirely on the stopwatch. Team will be timing this, and they'll push him back when they think it's about the right time. Now, Shane, being such a competitive individual, will, I'm sure, have practiced this with them and figured out exactly how long they need to be stationary for, because whilst it is the pit in to pit out time that they need to calculate, the easiest way for them to work this out is to work out how long it takes to drive down the pit lane at pit lane speed, and then take away that from the 2 minutes. That's how long you need to be stationary for, roughly. So we'll see how accurately they manage it. Julian Daniel, where is Julian Daniel on the track? Shane Kelly's being released down the pit lane. Julian Daniel's gone through already, so was that, and if that is for position, then that's a big gain for Julian Daniel. Seeing this out of the window, Julian's exiting Druids Corner now. Shane Kelly is only coming out of Paddock Hill Bend now. There is Shane, but the VW Golf with whom he was battling before has long gone. Now, it's possible that the Golf had a much longer pit stop than it should have done. I did suspect it had spent a bit longer in the pits than it should have done, but I don't think enough to have lost over half a lap, so I think it is ahead of the Morgan. The timing screen, of course, will update at the end of this lap. And then we'll properly know. But slightly concerningly for Shane Kelly, James Alford is there as well. So James Alford, who was flying and chasing down this podium battle earlier on, he's just ahead of Shane Kelly, and I think he might have got past the Morgan driver as well. Feroz Billamori is in, by the way. Billamori, the race leader, has pitted. So has Nick Brady. So has Alistair Lindsay. A few spots of rain, I think, there falling up at Clearway's corner, perhaps. But the race leader is in. Now, I do think James Alford, let's see, James Alford is, yes, ahead of Shane Kelly, as is Julian Daniel. So Julian Daniel, 9th position, is the highest placed car that has stopped, I believe. Followed by this one, James Alford, and then 3rd, Shane Kelly. So what we need to wait and see is where the likes of Feroz Billamoria and Josh Larkin, when he jumps into the Jason Pelosi Audi, which leads at the moment, where they slot in after the stops. But this Honda Civic, which has been flying through the middle part of the race, is very much a contender for the race win now. James Alford turns through Surtees. The Honda Civic EP3, such a competitive and popular racing car, both in one-make series and, of course, multi-class racing across various championships. Although, worth pointing out, the SW Motorsports ClubSport Trophy is just that. It's a trophy. It's not a championship. And the club adamant that it never will be. It is designed to be something that you can dip in and out of as regularly or as infrequently as you want to. And it's not designed to be something that drivers or teams have to focus a full season of racing on. There is Feroz, so he's in the pit lane. Julian Daniel, who's the highest placed car to have pitted, is coming into clearways now as Billamoria accelerates down the pit lane. This could be quite close, but I think Billamoria will hang on because his pit box is right at the exit of pit lane. So he accelerates out of the pit lane now, back out onto the track. Julian Daniel is not at the line yet. Now he crosses the line. So Julian Daniel still about the same sort of distance behind Feroz Billamoria as he was before the pit stops. It's Shane Kelly who's lost ground. Shane Kelly's the one who's had a slower pit stop than he would have liked. So there is Daniel. He is 2nd place, I think, once all is said and done. He's not at the moment because there are a handful of cars that haven't pitted. But of those that have stopped, I believe Billamoria is the 1st, Julian Daniel 2nd, James Alford 3rd, Shane Kelly 4th. The one really notable one will be the Pelosi and Larkin Audi. Now, Josh Larkin was telling Richard John Neal during the lunch break that Jason was quite a bit quicker than him in qualifying. If that translates into the race now, which it may not do with it being wet, although Jason is quite a bit more experienced than Josh, so you'd expect it maybe to be the case. But if that is the case, what I'm saying is that that Audi may not be a contender for the win. Julian Daniel seemed to have a lot of grass in the grille there and over the front splitter. Has he been off the road again? Haven't spotted it if he has, but Julian Daniel, how far behind Feroz Billamoria is he? 5.3 seconds. It's almost exactly the sort of gap that it was before the pit stop. So those two had, I would have thought, were pretty close to the 2-minute minimum pit stop time. James Alford is then a further 12.5 seconds back. He's not as close to Julian Daniel as I thought he might be. He's ahead of Shane Kelly by only 0.7 of a second. Those two just going through Druids now. The bright lime green Honda Civic and the dark green Morgan behind. There's the 126 Mini in. That's car's running in 14th place at the moment because it hasn't stopped. But Elliot Walker, the Class C runner, will drop back down the order now. Class C being led, I believe, still... Oh, well, in fact, Walker was leading because the Novobilskis had pitted. There are the Novobilskis, the Aston Keeper BMW. Around the outside of it goes what I believe will be the fight for 3rd place when all is said and done, that being James Alford versus Shane Kelly. So Shane Kelly still stuck behind another car that he's fighting for position. It's not the one that he was racing before. And, of course, he might not know where Julian Daniel is because he's quite a long way behind Julian. So he might think that he's ahead of Julian Daniel, although I'm sure the fact that this lime green Honda Civic's appeared in front of him will tell the tale. He's trying to get a move made into Druids, looks to the outside into the tight right-hander. Was right over the curb coming out of Paddock Hill Bend there, and they were going around the outside of a slower car. But none of that unsettled James Alford, who keeps hold of what at the moment is 5th position. Pelosi is in, by the way, so that only really leaves Chris Murphy now to make a pit stop. But Chris Murphy's actually on the same lap as the leaders, well, the cars we're watching now, I believe. And yet to stop. There is the driver change ongoing. Jason Pelosi out, Josh Larkin getting in. Looked like it was getting close there between Kelly and Orford. Now you would imagine the Morgan would have a little bit more grunt in a straight line. Can Shane Kelly use that now to take third, again, what will be third place, away from the Honda Civic driver? Well, there's not a huge difference in performance. Only right at the end of the straight does the Morgan close in. And I tell you what, James Orford is very aware, I think, that this is for position and maybe for a podium position. They run in the same class as well, these two. They're both Class A cars, so it is for a class podium, which matters even more. Not for, as I've said, championship points, but just for pride. You enter these races to try and finish on the podium. If you can, Orford sideways over the curb and almost lost it completely. Very rare for a front-wheel drive car to behave like that, but that's how slippery that curb is. And of course, there may be some oil on it from the MX-5 engine that expired a while ago. And that nearly ended in complete disaster for James Orford. He gathered it together, though. Shane Kelly is going to have enjoyed seeing that, because it tells him that James Orford is flirting with disaster a little bit. And might just tempt Kelly into going for a move here, or at least trying to apply some pressure to Orford. Across the line they go. The pit window is closed now. Everyone, I believe, has pitted. So Feroz Belamoria reasserts himself out in front, and with it, sets the fastest lap. He, I believe, is the first driver to get underneath a 60-second lap time in this race, 59.471. That's the 68 car that we were waiting to make a pit stop, I believe. Remember, they made the unscheduled stop earlier on. As again, Shane Kelly looks to the outside of James Orford. This is now the battle for third place, with all of the pit stops more or less completed. It is Belamoria the leader, Julian Daniel second, and then James Orford here defending third, as if his life depends on it, from Shane Kelly. Pelosi and Larkin are back out on track, but whether they are actually fifth, we'll have to wait another lap or half a lap to see. And if they are, that means they are still in the lead of Class B, but Nick Brady is not a million miles behind them in his Audi TT, so it could be an all-Audi battle for Class C honours when we get to the end of the race, which is just under 14 minutes away. Across the line comes the third place squabble. Shane Kelly knows that this is his opportunity to make the move at the end of the straight, but then the Civic is probably a little bit better under braking, so the Morgan just can't quite get the move done under braking. But carries really good speed off the corner. He's got the grunt up the hill. Orford closes the door right at the last second, and Shane Kelly may have just breathed off the throttle there to avoid a bit of contact. But Shane asking all the right questions of the Civic driver ahead. Down the Cooper Straight. Pelosi and Larkin are confirmed as being in fifth place now, by the way, because they've been across the line again, so the timing screen is updated, and they're about 10 seconds, I think, 10 or 12 seconds ahead of Nick Brady, with Alistair Lindsay third in that class. Looks like Class C has got a bit closer as well. Elliot Novobilski is now in the number 91 BMW, and he is only 3.8 seconds ahead in class. We'll get to that in a moment, though, because here comes Shane Kelly to the inside of James Orford, and he does finally break into third position. Good move, that. It had to be at the end of the main straight. That's where the Morgans got the advantage, and he would have really wanted to get that done before they came up across this gaggle of back markers, which he did. So really well-timed move, that, from Shane Kelly. He's boxed in behind one of the Z4s, though, and James Orford sees a chance to come back at him. They go three abreast, Orford in the middle, Kelly on the inside. As they turn into Graham Hill Bend, Shane should now have the power again, though, down the Cooper Straight. As he goes through the gears, the Morgan rockets ahead, and I think we'll make third place its own for now, until, of course, it trips over another back marker. Just quickly, back to Class C. Elliot Novobilski then, in fact, only a quarter of a second now ahead of the second place Class C car of Elliot Walker. That's the Mini Cooper, and there's just been a change. I've seen it out of the window into Druid's corner. The Mini Cooper is ahead, and Elliot Novobilski looks like he's going quite slowly. Shane Kelly, meanwhile, wriggling his way through the traffic, hasn't yet shaken off James Orford as they barrel off into Paddock Hill Bend. But yes, just out of Graham Hill Bend, in fact, right in front of the overall race leader. We've had a change for Class C lead, but I think Elliot Novobilski is in a bit of trouble in that BMW Z4 at the back of shot there. The burgundy-coloured car is not going particularly quickly. Belamoria comes through Oh, and it's sideways. The race leader is sideways. Billamoria heading for the gravel. He's off. Billamoria's off into the gravel trap. I do not believe it. And he's dug the car in as well with 11 and a quarter minutes to go. Feroz Billamoria throws away the race victory. He was 6.1 seconds ahead of Julian Daniel, and he just looped it going into clearways. He just got past that Class C battle that I was mentioning, and Feroz Billamoria throws it off the road, and that car is going nowhere unassisted, so this will require a safety car, I'm sure. And what drama into the final 11 minutes of the race. Feroz Billamoria will be kicking himself. I wonder whether that was that oil. We were having reports of drivers saying they didn't really want to go back out after the pit stops because of how slippery the track was. And that is why you're on a knife edge out there in these conditions. Throw in the oil that was laid on the track earlier on, and it becomes even more tricky. The safety car boards and flags are out, and so we're going to pause the race for now. Not sure every marshal's point yet has the yellow flags out. It's not showing on our timing tower for some reason, but this is now your race leader, Julian Daniel. So Julian Daniel wouldn't have believed his eyes when he saw the Scirocco in the gravel trap up here. But I'm sure he'll be piecing it together now and realising that he is the race leader. So Feroz Billamoria off the road. Now, tellingly, he had just set the fastest lap of the race. I see this time and time again. It's so often the case. A driver getting into the groove, going faster and faster and faster, especially in tricky conditions. He'd just done a 58.982, which was quite a bit quicker than anything anyone else had done. Well, a couple of tenths quicker than Julian Daniel, but then seconds quicker than anyone else on track. And he was coming towards the end of another lap where, admittedly, he'd been delayed in traffic anyway. And off the road he went. So I wonder whether we can get a replay of that and see if we can figure out exactly what happened. I mean, he lost the rear of the car going into the corner. Was it oil? Was it just the wet trap? Was he just pushing a bit too hard? Only he ultimately will know, but that is the end result. The VW Scirocco going nowhere. He's staying in the car because he's hoping that when they drag him out of there, he'll be able to carry on, at least into the pit lane. But Feroz Billamoria, who's been around in these ClubSport Trophy races for a number of years now, he's won a handful of them. Looked as though he was on course for another win today. It's not going to happen. He's requiring the assistance of the snatch vehicle to get him out of the gravel. No damage done to the car, seemingly, so that's some positive to take from this, but that's about all he can take that is positive from this race. So what does this mean? It means Julian Daniel leads the race. It means Shane Kelly's up to second and James Orford's up to third. All of them Class A runners. There are a few lapped cars there being waved by. There is Julian Daniel. Interestingly, within that Class C battle, because only Billamoria had put another lap on the Elliott Walker Mini, Julian Daniel was behind the Mini. He was ahead of Elliott Novobilski, so it means that Novobilski is trapped a lap down compared to Elliott Walker. So Walker now just needs to keep it on the track to claim the Class C win. Billamoria has got going again, look, so the marshals dug him out of the gravel trap pretty efficiently there. The question I was about to ask is how many cars, slower cars, are there between the race leader Julian Daniel and the second and third place cars, Shane Kelly and James Orford? The answer, I'm afraid, if you're a Shane Kelly or James Orford fan, is quite a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars between first and second place. Second and third, of course, are nose to tail. Fourth is still Josh Larkin, but he will, of course, now be caught quite rapidly by Nick Brady in his similar Audi TT Cup race car. That is a battle for a class win. So as the lights go out on the safety car, it's in a way the Audis we need to watch out for. It's the number 7 car that leads the class, and 196, which is second. They are right at the back of the safety car queue, so they're going to come into shot any moment. Never mind. They were the next 2 cars that were going to come into the shot at the top of the picture. They're towards the back of the queue, just behind Feroz Billamoria's VW Scirocco. That is a battle for Class B victory. That could be the closest of the class battles. Julian Daniel's gone already. Elliott Novobilski's BMW hasn't been going all that quickly anyway in this stint, so he's really backed the field up. And this means that Julian Daniel's probably going to have an even bigger lead now than he had before the safety car. Shane Kelly knows better than to overtake another car before the line. Doesn't matter how slow they're going, you have to wait till the timing line. I think he just about did, but he almost blasted past that VW Golf there. Julian Daniels has gone Shane Kelly chopping his way through the traffic fairly efficiently, in fairness, but I think it's all going to be to no avail. He's not likely going to be able to challenge Julian Daniel, who was 7.6 seconds ahead, even at the moment of restart. That's incredible. Right, what's going on in Class B then? There they are, they're side by side. That's for the lead in Class B, and round the outside is going Nick Brady. He's got the inside, no, hasn't got the move made into Graham Hill Bend, but that is the battle to watch. The two Audi TTs heading out of Graham Hill Bend now, and Nick Brady, the darker 196 car, there they come, tucked in behind the BMW. They turn through Surtees, the Honda S2000 of Stephen Harrison in behind them. But it looked there as though Nick Brady would have got that move made. It's not quite happened yet. He's trying again now on the outside as Josh Larkin is sort of pinched in behind the slower Z4. This might work for Brady. He's got the traction, he's got the momentum, but he's on the outside line. Josh Larkin's not letting him have it. They're going to be almost absolutely dead level across the line. Look at that. Just a nose in it. But Josh Larkin hangs on by the skin of his teeth and keeps the class lead. It's 4th place overall that they're battling for, but it is the Class B victory. This is the kind of racing we usually get treated to in the Audi TT Cup as well. So if you've not seen that series before, you're getting a taste of it here, except they don't normally have to go either side of a Hyundai Coupe into Druids. Right round the outside for the second lap in a row goes Brady. And for the second lap in a row, he's squeezed over the curb and not able to get to the inside line into Graham Hill Bend. Good driving this, though, for Larkin. He's not been shaken by this relentless attack coming from Nick Brady behind. And Larkin in the number 7 car that he shares with Jason Pelosi is doing a really good job. Tried to get to the inside of Brscc. The door was closed, but then Elliott jumps out wide, and that really gets in the way of Nick Brady, who elbows his way through. Brscc would do well, I think, just to jump right out of the way there, which he has done, in fairness. Through come the Audis then across the line. That lead gap, by the way, don't count Shane Kelly out of this. He has just set the fastest lap of the race, a 58.5. That is 2.5 seconds quicker than the race leader. So Shane Kelly is chasing down Julian Daniel. There's still 4.7 seconds between them, so we don't need to cut away from this battle just yet. But Shane Kelly is giving this a really good go. And as the track conditions get better and better, that Morgan is getting faster and faster, isn't it? The Audi TTs continue to squabble for Class B victory down at Graham Hill Bend. Josh Larkin, though, not making a mistake as of yet. He said he wasn't as quick as Jason Pelosi, his teammate, in qualifying. Well, he has set that car's best lap of the race, I believe. That's probably because the conditions are improving. It doesn't matter how quick he is. If he can keep defending like this, then I'm sure Jason will be very, very pleased, and he'll like what he's seeing there. A big moment for Nick Brady. Kicks the rear of the car into the gravel trap, which actually straightened him up quite nicely, and he only lost a few cars length there, but it's Nick Brady who looks the more ragged of the two, I would say. Another fastest lap for Kelly. Kelly is consistently 2 seconds a lap quicker than Julian Daniel. He's 2.7 back at the moment, which means by the end of this lap, he could be right on the tail of the race leader. We're going to need split screen to keep up with all the action. Oh, a big lunge up the inside for Nick Brady at Druids. Brilliant move. Josh Larkin thought he had that covered, but Nick Brady came from a long way back, outbraked the number 7 car, and Brady gets the Class B lead at Druids Corner. So Nick Brady now will try and scoot away. Let's turn our attention then to the race leaders. Where are they? They are coming along the start-finish straight now, and Julian Daniel being reeled in by 2 seconds a lap by Shane Kelly, except on that lap, he's upped his game. It's a personal best lap for Julian Daniel of 58.4, still 9/10 slower than Shane Kelly, who sets another fastest lap. Shane Kelly is coming, 2.5 minutes to go. He's going to get there, I think. Oh, well, not like that he won't. He's really wrestling the big Morgan into Druids Corner in what again are pretty challenging conditions. There's still remnants of the oil from the MX-5 engine failure earlier on. It's still quite damp, and the danger sometimes when you start to see a drying line, which is what we've got now, is that you can start pushing really, really hard, and then you overcook it, you outbrake yourself, and you end up just putting a wheel on the wet side of the road, and suddenly you've got half the grip that you expected to have. And that's where it's so easy to make a mistake and go off the road completely. Shane Kelly, though, is an experienced enough campaigner. He knows what he's doing. He's got 2 laps here to try and get the lead away from Julian Daniel. That was a better lap for Julian. He was, again, only 0.8 of a second slower than Shane Kelly. Rose Memoria, by the way, has set the fastest lap of the race, as here the Class B battle refuses to die. They're battling through the lapped traffic. That was Mark Jones's Honda Civic that they were going past, and Mark Jones doing his best to try and stay out of harm's way. So we've got two battles very much to look out for, the Class A and overall race lead battle, and then the fight in Class B as well, down the Cooper Straight. Looks as though Shane Kelly's gaining most of his time in the second half of the lap, isn't he, really, which is the quicker half of the lap. Down the Cooper Straight, through Surtees, and then back along the start-finish straight. That's where the Morgan is good, and he's closer than ever. This time, surely, he will think about making the move. We're about to start the final lap of this SW Motorsports ClubSport Trophy race. Julian Daniel has led ever since Feroz Bilamoria spun into the gravel trap from the lead, bringing about a safety car. But since that restart, Shane Kelly, who was nearly 8 seconds back at one point, has charged after the VW Golf. Didn't get a good enough run out of the final corner, though, and so he wasn't close enough to challenge into paddock. And now running out of options, really. I wonder how close Kelly would have to be at Clearways this time to out-drag the Golf to the line. It might come down to that. Shane needs a much better run through that final sequence of corners if that's going to happen, though. Down through Graham Hill Bend, Julian Daniel looking actually like he's further ahead of Shane Kelly now than he was a lap ago. There is traffic that they're catching. I don't think they're quite going to catch it before the checkered flag. Had there been one more lap, this might have got even more lively. But Julian Daniel, I think, has weathered the storm, and a day that started with a collision in qualifying. Julian Daniel's day is going to end on the top step of the podium. It will be an overall and Class A victory in the first race of the season for the SW Motorsports ClubSport Trophy. Across the line he goes. Second place for Shane Kelly. Brilliant stuff. Here comes the Class B battle, and Josh Larkin's just been held up there with one of the other Audi TTs, and that means that Nick Brady is going to have a pretty uncontested run to the line, I think. Bit of a shame that, because Josh actually put up a really good fight. He didn't make it easy for Nick to go through, and even when Nick did get past him, he was sticking with him. But there is Nick Brady. He's heading for the line, and he's going to get the victory in Class A. Oh, contact further back. Oh, no. That's an unfortunate way for it to end. Mark Jones's Honda Civic is the one that got tapped into a slide by one of the BMW Z4s. I didn't quite spot who that was. Right at the end of the race then, a little collision. Mark Jones, who runs in Class B, so the same class as the Audi TTs that we saw battling towards the end of the race. He gets to the flag. Here comes the BMW with whom he tangled. It was the number 721, which is Chris Murphy. I think they were fighting for position, weren't they? Yes, they were, for 6th in class. Murphy must have had a go into the last corner. It's not ended well, but in the end, no major harm done. Bit of damage to the cars, but position-wise, I think they ended up exactly where they had been running. Well, what a race. SW Motorsport ClubSport Trophy. It never usually disappoints, and well, today was absolutely no different. It was Julian Daniel, though, who came home a winner in the ClubSport Trophy race at Brands Hatch, despite the charging Shane Kelly trying his very best to apply the pressure in the closing stages. James Alford comes home in 3rd, ahead of Nick Brady in 4th position. Then Pelosi and Larkin in 5th spot. Adam Marshall 6th, Alistair Lindsay 7th, ahead of Kieran Power, with Mike Parsons 9th and Jonathan Hobbs in 10th position. Stephen Harrison was 11th, ahead of Mark Jones and Chris Murphy. The Dukes in their car, BMW Z4, were in 14th position. 15th place was the Pete Smith and Josh Bromley Mazda MX-5. That's a good effort for them, and they claimed a dominant victory in the end in Class E. They were a full lap, actually, ahead of the next Class E car, although the safety car might have had something to do with that, I guess. They were 15th place, 16th Elliot Walker, 17th Gary Hobbs, 18th Feroz Bilamoria, 19th in the end for the Novobilskis, who struggled a bit towards the end of the race, handing the class win to Elliot Walker's Mini. Then the Dennises, Matt Adams was 21st. He was the last car running at the flag because the Watling and Wheeler Ford Fiesta retired partway through, as spectacularly with that oil that they left on the track did the Sheard and Gilligan Mazda MX-5 and the Sheard and Eadson BMW. Well, they'll be thinking they might as well have not bothered coming to Brands Hatch. They only got a couple of laps in qualifying, and they only lasted 6 laps in the race. That's a shame for a car that came into the weekend as one of the favourites to challenge for the win. Well, it's been a fantastic weekend. We will hear from Richard John Neal and our class winners, most likely, down in the Parc Ferme area. But my last opportunity to thank the marshals and recovery crews, medical crews, everyone who's been on standby today at this weekend at Brands Hatch to help keep the event going, and to everyone at the BRSCC for keeping us more or less on time as well. It's 10 to 6 here at the end of the day, so pretty efficient stuff despite the weather, despite the red flags, despite a few incidents along the way. We got to the end of the day without too much of a delay, so that's really impressive stuff. Very much looking forward to being back for the next Brscc live streamed event, whenever that may be. For more information on which events are being live streamed, by the way, and indeed, even if it's not live streamed, if you fancy getting yourself trackside to watch the Brscc's race days, then you can head to their website and that will have all of the information that you need, www.brscc.co.uk, and follow the links to not only the race calendar but also see all of the championship pages with updated championship standings, championship regulations if you're looking at building or buying a car to come and race in one of their series. And we're very much looking forward to having you on track if that is the case. And yeah, we are looking forward to more on-track action as the season goes on here with the Brscc. And this weekend is anything to go by. I think we're in for a treat, aren't we? Some of the racing we've been treated to, particularly the MX-5 series. I mean, the Mark 1 MX-5s were sensational in their first 2 races particularly, and I will never forget that battle in the torrential rain for SuperCup race victory in their 3rd and final race of the weekend. For the final time, though, this weekend, we must hand over to Richard John Neal to conduct our podium ceremonies down in Parc Ferme.
Thanks very much, Andy. We've got a throng here being gathered by Lindsay Close, who's done some super work, and thank you, Tony, for helping us out with all of the podium presentations over the course of the weekend. And of course, we don't have to rush this one. I know the crew want to rush because everyone wants to get home and so on and so forth. Lindsay's the voice you can hear, extremely enthusiastic, mastered the podiums for us at Snetterton last time out, and doing a great job getting everybody in. Once we're going to do it A, B, C, D, E in classes, which is fairly logical. Even I can get it, so that's all right. And hopefully, has everybody had a good day here? Yeah! That's pretty good. That's nice to hear. Thank you all for coming. I'm going to do this starting with Class A. I'll do the winners afterwards. So we'll do the interviews afterwards. We'll do the trophies now. Lindsay, are you going to present the trophies?
Yes, of course.
And our Class A winner, overall winner, Julian Daniel. Hunt the trophy. Well done, Julian. Congratulations. We'll have a word in a minute. Class B, it was a late run thing, but came through. Nick Brady. Class C, another of the drivers lucky enough to be interviewed by us at the lunch break, and it seemed to work today. Normally it's a kiss of death, but well done to Elliot Walker. And we were lucky enough to catch up with the Class D man as well. Jonathan Hobbs, well done, Jonathan. I think we've covered a fair number of drivers this weekend, and we spoke to this guy in the holding area before his race. Well done to Pete Smith and Josh Bromley. So we will get the interviews, but let's get the pictures done. And if anyone's, I'm going to get out of the way so you can all get some decent pictures. Get yourself in tight if you want to as well. Get a nice central picture. A massive thank you to SW Motorsport for their sponsorship of the ClubSport Trophy. It was a really cracking race. Difficult circumstances. They get everything that the weather and the other formulae have thrown at them over the course of the day, and have done absolutely superbly. Oh, we're going to have one more. Lindsay's orchestrating. That's what we want. All right, let's grab some interviews for the camera and the folks at home who've been very patient. We'll have a word with Julian first. Julian, congratulations. It's kind of bookended the day for me because you were the first driver I spoke to this morning. And sometimes it works out that way. Obviously, I will. Talk us through.
Well, first of all, you're like a London bus. I mean, I don't see you for ages.
Build-wise.
Then you come along twice in one day, so great. Yeah, I mean, I lost it a couple of times early on from the start, and Phil Rose got away from me. And then we just started our work back onto him. Pit stops. I had a good pit stop, pretty good timing. Came out, and then obviously poor Phil Rose spun it at Clearways, which, although it was a great shame, it's a bit of payback, really. Not only the last time we raced here, I had an engine problem, and he went on to win. So, congratulations for then, and payback time now.
And then Shane Kelly giving you a bit of a race, didn't he?
Yeah, that's another story. Chris came on the radio and said, "Okay, mate, great start off the safety car. Pulled 12 seconds. Take it easy. Just bring the car home." So I knocked it down a cog or two, and then on the radio, "Mate, he's 7 seconds behind you." And I'd gone into lazy mode by then, and it took quite a bit to get myself back into gear again. And a dry line had come by then, and I hadn't been using the dry line previously, and he obviously had. So I needed to use a dry line, and another couple of laps, we would have had some great fun for sure. But yeah, it's in one way it's a shame he didn't catch before the end. In the other,
I'll tell you what, everybody saw how the gap ebbed and flowed over the course of the race. We've had a great race. It was super.
It's a great series. Run so well. Brscc have always run it well. That's why I joined it last year. And as you know, we didn't have a lot of luck last year. So hopefully this is the beginning of a good season.
I hope so. When you guys put the work in, it does come back, and it has for you, Julian. Well done. Many congratulations. Thanks.
Many thanks to Chris at TSR as well. We've had a few big problems today, and there aren't many people that would have sorted the car out and got us out on the grid. So, yeah, thanks to TSR Performance.
Well done, mate. Thanks for entertaining us. Safe travels home. See you again soon. Yeah. All the best, Julian. Second place man, Nick Brady, or second class that we're going to cover is Nick Brady. Well done, Nick. And it looked like late doors, didn't it? Because, and we thought we were going to have two driver teams on the podium, but you stopped them.
Honestly, it was just insane. And it was so wet to start with that really we were just trying to just keep it on the black stuff. Don't make any mistakes, don't spin, and surely you're going to go forward. And then they had the driver change, and the second driver was a little bit slower than the first one. And yeah, kind of like a last dash attempt to get round him. And I'm thinking, I'm running out of time, I need to get on with this. But every time I got there, he defended really well. And I didn't want any contact, and I didn't want the move to be dirty. And I mean, it weren't a bad move, to be fair, coming up into Druids. And I sold in a dummy one side and slipped round the other side and managed to get up the inside of him. And that was kind of the job done. But then we started to catch traffic, and all of a sudden he's in my mirrors again. I'm like, oh, leave it out. I've had enough of it. He's like, throw the flag. But that was great. Yeah, what a race. And it's my first ClubSport race, so what a way to start. So, yeah, brilliant. Absolutely thrilled.
A lot to live up to now when you come back.
Yeah, don't. Maybe one and done, maybe.
No, come back, Nick. Many congratulations. Thanks for the chat, and well done. We'll see you again soon, I hope. Nick Brady there. So let's move on to Class C, Elliot Walker. Elliot, so there we go.
Your good luck from earlier.
Well, I hope so. We have this thing with Jensen Brickley, who's about as tall as you are. And I used to do this thing, jump for Jensen. I'm going to have to do jump to talk to Elliot, because you're one of these tall lads in the podium, and I'm probably getting shorter. Well done. Obviously, the tutelage worked well that you were talking about at lunch break.
Yeah, that's it. So we got very fortunate. My family and my friends and everyone chipped in, and sort of we worked it out. I'm really pleased that it worked, and we managed to hold on. We had a little spin on like lap 4 or 5, sort of got a bit excited following a Class B car, and maybe didn't let off enough speed. But thankfully nobody hit me and managed to press on. So yeah, it was just thrilling because I've gone from being in Class E, whatever it is, and trying to keep up with everyone, and then today we were really on it. So I was really pleased, and I just want to say thank you to all my friends and family that because a lot of you have sponsors and mechanics, and I build the car, I look after it, and then they put up with me spending every hour in the garage, and my girlfriend when I disappear for hours. So I really appreciate all of them, because it's what makes this all happen. And I think also this community, I mean, look at the amount of people here, it's brilliant. So it's just a phenomenal day, and I'm really pleased to be here.
I love the fact that at the end of the day, Lindsay Close has got everybody around. We can't do it for the other races because we've got a quick turnaround, but what a fantastic way to end the day.
It really is. I think everyone sees last race, they go, ooh, but then you see what it's all about, and it's fantastic. And nobody's run off just yet, so clearly we've done something right.
That's absolutely right, Elliot. Thanks for chatting to us today, both times, and very, very well done on the Class win. Class D, Jonathan Hobbs. We had a chat earlier on. It was lovely to catch up with you and have a chat. I feel like I've made a lot of new friends today. Certainly a lot of good acquaintances. And I was kind of egging on the wee car out there so that we could have another chat. It did the job, didn't it? Yeah, and you did.
Oh, well, yeah, it was great. It's I was kind of overtaking BMWs and all this other stuff because of the front wheel drive in the wet. Just it's great fun. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. It's my first actual win in the class. So
congratulations. And how old's that car again?
Well, it's actually the shell is like a 97 or something, 1997 106 rally. So, yeah, it's been around a bit, and my parents are always with me. They're always my sponsors as well, and help me out. And yeah, it's a real sort of family vibe with us. So yeah, it's brilliant for them as well. So, yeah.
It's a great story. To have the family aspect of it, but also have a car that's got that sort of history, that age to it, that's been looked after and can still go out and deliver the goods. There's a message there for anyone who wants to come and race that type of car with the Brscc Club Sport.
Absolutely, yeah. Just get out and do it. I bought that car for £3,000 like 11 years ago, and it's been like, the best £3,000 I spent. I spent a lot on it in between, of course, but the initial buy wasn't too bad. So absolutely, I'd say come out and do it. If you have an inkling to want to come and do it, then come and do it. Absolutely.
Jonathan, brilliant. Thank you very much. Well done on the win. Real pleasure. Lovely to see you. Hopefully see you on the podium again very, very soon indeed. And our final two winners, Pete Smith and Josh Bromley, who we caught up with in the Mazda race before, and now we get to do it again after the race. And Pete, the smile says it all.
Oh, absolutely buzzing. We didn't know what we were going to do coming into this weekend. Obviously, I knew I was in the Kent Models MX-5 Championship, but we had a hire car driver drop out last minute. Josh was running around with his hair on fire. Got Ted Bradley in the car. He put that on pole in the Clubman initially. And then I was like, why don't we do ClubSport Trophy together? And then that's something to look forward to. So, yeah, I think Wednesday I called Luke and I was like, fancy a go? And he was like, okay, pay your money and you can go. And then now we've come away with a trophy.
It's Luke from the Brscc, was it? Luke Souch? Yeah.
Luke Souch. So, yeah, the car was on rails. Really enjoyed that. And, what a good end to the day.
Josh, your teammate did well. You did well too.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that. It's even more rewarding because that car, we got November last year and it's been built from the ground up, and for it to go out, put it on pole yesterday and then win the Club Sport, it's just a proper reward for us, so really happy.
Congratulations to both of you. Look forward to seeing you Club Sport and Mazdas again real soon. Very well done.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Well, there we go. We're going to have a little bonus interview for the stream as well. Shane Kelly is here. Shane, wow, that must be a bit of a job, hurling that Morgan around in those conditions. And you very nearly got in touch with Julian there.
Yeah, unfortunately we couldn't quite nab him at the end. I think it was 0.6 at the end. It'll be a bit of a slow stop. I think it cost us a bit of time. Obviously we never anticipated the safety car after, but yeah, brilliant job really. Big steps from last year. We gained a lot. We've got a limited slip diff now, which is great in the driving and hampered me a little bit in the wet, to be honest. But we just couldn't quite get the grip out of clearways to have a go at him. But yeah, really happy with that result. We wanted constant sort of top threes this year. That was what we were aiming for, and yeah, that's what we did. So brand new team, 90% of the team were brand new, never been this side of the fence before of a racetrack. So really,
that's the uni team, yeah.
That's the uni team, yeah. So yeah,
because the cohort changes, the team are going to change as well.
That's right, yeah. So brand new team bar one student. So it's their first time. We tested Friday, and that was their first time they've been to a racetrack. So so really nice to reward them with a podium, and yeah, great. It's been a great year so far. Good sponsorship again. So we're out in both cars. So yeah, can't complain.
Brilliant. Thanks for having a chat. Nice way to round off the day for us. Well done to the team. Look forward to seeing you again a little bit later in the year. Shane Kelly there, drove the Morgan so very well indeed over the course of the Club Sport race. Lindsay, I think he's dragging everyone over there. It's been a long day. I want to thank, as usual, everybody involved with the racing, everybody at the club who put on a great day, all our marshals and medics. Andy McEwen's already thanked them. Thanks to Andy for a Super Days commentary. Made me smile a great deal through the day as Andy McEwen's commentary, and I hope it has done with you at home. Thanks to everybody at Alpha Live and for great coverage. Look forward to catching up with you guys a little bit later on in the year. Another 2 dates for me personally to go with you. But all things Brscc, check out the website. Thanks to runyourfleet.com, who of course help us through all of the things commercially. That's about it. It's been a great 2 days racing. The Fun Cup was superb yesterday. All of the Brscc Formula were great again today. From all of us here at Brands Hatch, as ever, be nice to each other. We'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.